Hello, ladies and gents. This is Willie Steinbrick, correspondent for the XBL, here for another game in the XBL catalog. This week it is the Snot Rockets versus the Funk. And I know you might be asking yourself, wow, it sounds really, really quiet here. Doesn't seem like there's a lot of background audio. You might be asking yourself, like, what the heck's going on? Well, viewer, the answer to your question is that the audio we originally had for the Week 2 games did not turn out very well. It sounded really, really, really poor quality to the point where, like, if I was yelling like this, like, whoa, something crazy just happened, it literally sounded like I was just smacking the microphone with a plastic bag, like, a bunch of times. But, yeah, that's just a testament to the production value set here by the XBL and the great partners here and all that. Either way, we got a nice game here between the Snot Rockets and the Funk. An absolute bloodbath. I guess we'll see as to how we got there, where friendships died and bitter rivalries were formed. At this point, the Snot Rockets are up 4-0. A quick 4-0 lead as Daikichi Washington takes a nice deep shot and misses. Joined with me, although not here today, is Noah Simon in the booth. Unfortunately could not make it here. He was not contractually obligated to come back for re-recordings. As John D'Onofrio makes a nice pass to his son, but Jordan just cannot stay on his 2 feet. Seems to be a reoccurring theme here where the Snot Rockets just cannot seem to get any sort of offensive momentum going on in this game whatsoever. It's just very disappointing to see, seeing as how game 1 of week 1, they had a really, really good game. Seemed like this was a team that had a lot of chemistry, had a very good idea as to how the ball needed to move around and how to shoot the ball and how to pass the ball, and for Larry Fonseca's case, how to catch the ball. But it seems like after that first game, it just went all the way downhill from here. But in the same breath, the same could be said for the Funk as Daikichi Washington misses yet another shot. The best way to describe this game would be a titanic struggle, but instead of 2 titans, it would be 2 people paralyzed from the neck down without any sort of movement of their body going on, having them play a game of basketball against each other. And that's pretty much what we got here with this game with the Funk versus the Snot Rockets. Neither team really knows how the game of basketball works or how to score a bucket or anything like that. And as you'll see, at this point of the game, the fouls are really starting to fly out. This is when the tensions and the emotions start to flare really high, as this basically became an ego pissing contest between both sides as to who would blink first. But, so far at this point of the game, there's only been a few fouls. Nothing too crazy thus far, but, we'll see how it's going at this point. And apologies if I sound a little jaded. Was not expecting to have to come back and record this a week and a day after the fact. And at this point, we got Daikichi Washington inbounding the ball to Matt Schmidt. Matt Schmidt. This man, what can I say? If you watch the Week 3 footage before you watch the Week 2 footage, this game will be an indication of why I called him assault and battery. At this point, Matt Schmidt knocking Larry Fonseca right on his butt. Arms out to the side like he's trying to give Steven Prusen a big old hug, but instead of giving a hug, it's more just like, hey, what the heck? I fell on my butt. Why aren't you calling a foul? Daikichi Washington trying to move around with the ball as Larry Fonseca just quickly steals the ball. Larry holding his arms up. Matt Schmidt and him, two ramming heads coming at each other. And now at this point, after Matt Schmidt puts his arms out asking for a foul from Steven Prusen, nothing seems to happen. Listen, you can't ask me about what has happened. My job is not the referee. My job is simply to just make fun of people who are playing basketball. Jordan D'Onofrio sitting in the back part of the court, really just commanding the troops at this point. And by commanding the troops, I mean kind of just barking orders to his team as they try to score anything. As his father, John D'Onofrio, a.k.a. hip replacement D'Onofrio, tries to make a shot. Unfortunately, nothing seems to happen with this sort of offensive momentum, as Nick Bentavengo makes a quick bucket, closing the gap between them and the Snot Rockets by just one lone bucket. It's now 4-2, the Snot Rockets in the league. Jordan D'Onofrio trying to drive down the court. Cannot make any sort of offensive momentum once again. The Snot Rockets had a quick 2-bucket lead and have not done a whole lot thus far after the fact. Matt Schmidt to Daikichi Washington. Daikichi Washington with a beautiful pass to Nick Benzavango. He makes another bucket. Nick Benzavango, the only one on the funk thus far to put points on the board. I tell you, this week, Nick Benzavango, the man turned the Jets up to like 3,000%. This man has enough energy to power like at least 15 cities. He's got the drive. He's got the charisma. He's got the cute smile. I mean, the man's got everything when it comes to the sport of basketball. I mean, really. Larry Fonseca, once again, unable to catch a ball as it smacks him right in the shins. Checking it up against his bitter arch enemy, Matt Schmidt. Passing it to John D'Onofrio. Larry Fonseca with the quick assist to John D'Onofrio, putting up the layup. Now the Snot Rockets are up 6-4. As Daikichi Washington gives a nice, beautiful oop to Matt Schmidt. For the first time in this game, the Funk are now up 7-6. Stephen Bruson saying, "Hey, Matt Schmidt, look at me. You can't be going out there fouling people." Jordan D'Onofrio with a nice quick pass to John. Back to Jordan, right down low. Another foul from the Funk on the Snot Rockets. Once again, Jordan trying to make any sort of offensive momentum. Just cannot make his way down to under that hoop. As Daikichi Washington forgets that this is the game of basketball and not the game of soccer as he kicks the ball out of bounds. Checking it up for the third time now as the ball is going out of bounds. Nick Benzavango with the quick steal. What did I tell you, folks? This kid, he's got it all. He's got a great name, beautiful shoes, fantastic form. Actually, scratch that. Okay form. A+ energy, though. This man has it all when it comes to basketball. As Jordan D'Onofrio gives the nice behind-the-back pass to his father, but his father, John D'Onofrio, a.k.a. hip replacement D'Onofrio, just cannot understand that that was what Jordan was going for as the ball just goes out of bounds. As Matt Schmidt takes another three-point shot. Cannot make it. Listen, if you've been watching the footage, you know that that's a classic Matt Schmidt blunder right there. Taking a nice deep three and having it not go in.
God damn.
Once again, another foul at this point. Like I told you, folks, at the beginning of this Ed Media Res, this is an absolute bloodbath waiting to happen. And it's not for me to decide when the boiling point happens, but it's up for you to figure that out. Because even I, as a man there, cannot tell you. As there's another foul now. That will be a reoccurring theme as the rest of this game goes on. A Matt Schmidt on Larry Fonseca or a Larry Fonseca on Matt Schmidt foul. As super placement D'Onofrio is facing off against Nick Benzavango. Two absolute titans facing off in the basketball court. But once again, John just cannot make a shot. Daikichi Washington with another air ball. I tell you, folks, a very low-scoring, aggressive game thus far. Despite the few buckets that both teams have thus far, not a lot can be said about the offensive presence for either. Once again, another offensive possession by the Snot Rockets where not much can be done. Matt Schmidt almost jumping over Jordan D'Onofrio with that level of hustle. And right there you see we got a nice close-up of our good friend Ethan Burstein. Ethan Slim Pickens Burstein. Smiling at something funny that Noah and I probably said. We're probably joking about something going on right now. We had a nice timeout at this point. Oh, once again, I'd like to give a nice shout out to our sponsors here at Turk's Restaurant. Skip, Heidi, we love you guys. Thank you so much for everything you do for this league. What was that in the gallery? We got funny enough, we do have Larry Fonseca and Matt Schmidt in the booth watching this footage with me after the fact. Some head shaking, some crying, some hugs. A little bit of kissing, no tongue going on thus far. I think at the end of the day, though, no matter how bad this game looks, it's important to note that we're all still friends here at the XBL. Oh, and it appears as though Larry Fonseca is shaking his head at the statement I'm making about us being friends. I guess Larry and I are not friends.
What?
Let's get back to the game, though.
You gotta say it louder, buddy.
You know, enough about my friendships.
13. You gotta just talk.
Still, at this point, you know, not a lot going on for either the Snot Rockets or the Funk in terms of offense. Larry Fonseca subverting any and all expectations, catching the ball.
Ethan is not playing.
You could probably count on one hand the amount of times this man has caught the basketball. Could not count on fingers and toes the amount of times he hasn't caught it, though. And a nice silky smooth sweet. We're talking like a nice ice cream sundae levels of sweet bucket right there from the Funk. Matt Schmidt with another quick dunk after a steal. The Funk really just running away with this right now. Can the Snot Rockets mount any sort of comeback against this offensive presence going on from the Funk right now? Listen, I already know how the game went, so I can't answer that question, but I'll leave that up to you to decide. At this point, too, I think it would be an injustice to not shout out Ref Prusen, especially this game in particular. Ref Steven Prusen really gave it his all. There's a lot of adversity coming from both sides. Jokes were coming from the booth. A lot was going on. It was a hot day. So we just want to say thank you once again to Steve Prusen for his phenomenal ref work. Could not do it without you.
A lot of hugs this game.
The Funk, once again, just checking up the ball. They got the offensive possession right now. Unfortunately, Nick Benzavengo could not get that putback after that offensive rebound. And another air ball coming from the Snot Rockets. Listen,
a big upset
the footage speaks for itself. Week 1 for the Snot Rockets started off strong. Week 2 thus far, you know, there are a lot of improvements need to be had if they want to stand any sort of chance in the playoffs. Does not seem to matter, though, as the Funk now have the ball once again. A nice pass from Schmidt to Washington. Washington back to Schmidt, but Schmidt just knocks it out of bounds. Nick Benzavengo just checking up the ball against Larry Butterfingers Fonseca. Benzavengo back to Washington, but Prusen's going to call it out of bounds. As now, it's the Snot Rockets ball. D'Onofrio starting up with the ball. About half court. Nice lob pass to his father. Does not seem to do anything as the Funk get the ball back. Daikichi Washington tries to make any sort of attempt off that subpar pass given to him. Now, nothing seems to happen. Once again, it's the Snot Rockets ball. That seems to be how this game is going. There are a few offensive highlights going on, but it's a very defensive-oriented game, which would very much kind of explains why there were a lot of fouls going on. A very defensive-heavy kind of game. So when something like that happens, you know, you're just asking for there to be a lot of fouls. Jordan D'Onofrio passing to his father. Back to Jordan. Right down the court. Cannot make it. At this point, you probably noticed Jordan's kind of icing that ankle a little bit. Milking it a little bit. Listen, I asked him after the game. He said, anything to get the attention from the refs. I didn't really hurt my ankle.
That was my car? Fucking assholes.
Oh, Nick Benzavengo with another steal on John D'Onofrio. This man, oh my gosh, ladies and gents. Nick Benzavengo. What an amazing display of basketball from him this week.
Doubling. Jordan, your ankle good?
I said it once and I said it again. This man's got it all when it comes to basketball.
You need basketball
Fame, fan, admiration from the commentating staff. Blech, words. A nice timeout here. Let's see if the Snot Rockets, they're talking strategy right now. Let's see if anything will pay off though with all this strategy talk. Zooming in on us, the commentating staff again. Noah and I reading over some of the stats from week 1. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe someone scored some points, probably. Someone probably had some rebounds. I may have mentioned somebody had some steals. You know, it's very in the moment with the commentating. We're all friends here at the XBL, but I forget their names very, very quickly. Gosh, look at Slim Pickens Burstein. Really being a peanut gallery during this game. Jordan D'Onofrio trying to make any sort of offensive momentum for the Snot Rockets, and his father's able to get the offensive rebound. Hip replacement D'Onofrio. closing this gap between the Snot Rockets and the Funk by 7 points now. Matt Schmidt on John D'Onofrio. Larry Fonseca with a full-on shoulder check on Matt Schmidt. Ladies and gents, I know I said I was going to leave it up to you to decide for when this boiling point was going to be for the fouls, but spoiler alert, that right there, that was the boiling point. And it's all downhill from here. Jordan D'Onofrio getting pressed up at about half court. Matt Schmidt bringing his whole body over on Larry Fonseca. This is some Hatfield versus McCoy level of blood feud between Schmidt and Fonseca. As John D'Onofrio is checking up the ball with Nick Bentivengo. Taking a nice mid-range J. Cannot do anything with it, though. Sad to see. John had a phenomenal week 1, but it just seems as though his team is not getting the memo that, hey, I'd like to win more than one game. Daikichi Washington with a 3-point shot, and it goes in for the Funk. Beautiful, silky, smooth swish shot from Daikichi Washington. The score now is 20-10 with the Funk winning. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about this kind of league. How we were able to get it together, how we were able to organize this, the fact that Jordan D'Onofrio had a driveway this size so we could actually play on something. I don't know, folks. I don't know. Daikichi Washington getting that full court press treatment from the whole Snot Rockets. Larry Fonseca falling on his butt. Daikichi Washington with the beautiful dunk. The one-handed tomahawk dunk. Look at that. Ladies and gents, it doesn't get any better than that. Wow, Matt Schmidt with the oop. Listen, I talk my fair game of smack to every player, but I got to give credit where credit's due. Matt Schmidt, a beautiful alley-oop. The Funk starting with the ball again. Not a lot of Jordan D'Onofrio smacking the ball from the Funk out of Nick Bentivengo's hand. At this point, this is where the aggression really starts as Matt Schmidt really dug his claws into Jordan's arm. And this is where Stephen Pruson's going to call the game because like I said, folks, this is when the aggression really started to begin.